Narad Muni has begun answering Yudhishthir Maharaj's question on the cause of Hiranyakashipu's hostility towards his son Prahlāda. And Narad Muni already gave an introduction to Prahlāda Maharaj, how he was in the school of the two sons of Shukracharya, Shanda and Amarka, and was getting educated in the science of politics and basically the philosophy of considering someone as one's friend and someone else as one's enemy, and Prahlad did not like. And Prahlad Maharaj internally was absorbed in his Supreme Lord. Being a Mahabhagavad devotee, he was unaffected by the education system that Prahlad Maharaj was subjected to in the school of Shanda and Amarka. And with that introduction, now we are entering into how Prahlad Maharaj is communicating whatever his inner state of consciousness is to Hiranyakashipu, his own father. So the fourth verse marks that the first encounter of Prahlad Maharaj with Hiranyakashipu after Prahlad Maharaj had spent some time in the school appointed by Hiranyakashipu. So it is described, once upon a time, the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, took his son Prahlad on his lap and very affectionately inquired, "My dear son, please tell me what you think is the best of all the subjects you have studied from your teachers." So this looks like a very ordinary sort of question that any parent would ask to a child who is going to the school for the first time. That what are you learning in school? And what is the best thing that you are enjoying in school? So such an innocent question, but this innocent question led to a very significant, deep dialogue between Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu. So the response that Prahlad gives is no longer on an immature, inexperienced sort of level that an ordinary child would give, but happens to be a very profound sort of response, clearly illustrative of Prahlad Maharaj's maturity in devotional service. Prabhupada writes in the fourth purport, what is the source of that ability to speak with such maturity? That Krishna, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart as the super soul, dissipates all the ignorance from the heart of a devotee. As a special favor, he enlightens the devotee with all knowledge by putting before him the torch of light. Prahlad Maharaj therefore knew the best of knowledge, and when his father inquired from him, Prahlad gave him that knowledge. Prahlad Maharaj was able to solve the most difficult parts of the problems because of his advanced Krishna consciousness. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on Hiranyakashipu's question to Prahlad like this: the king thought that his son would be confused if he asked him about difficult subjects. So he asked about what Prahlad had studied and knew. Please speak about them. That was the intention of Hiranyakashipu's question. Then let me ask something very simple and straightforward that he would be in a position to respond. So earlier in the same purport, Prabhupada also writes, sometimes we have to challenge big scientists and philosophers. But by the grace of Krishna, we emerge successful. It is impossible, practically speaking, for ordinary men to challenge scientists or philosophers concerning genuine knowledge. So Prabhupada here is likening the positioning of the proud scientists and philosophers with the position of Hiranyakashipu. just like Hiraṇyakaśipu was also vastly learned, but at the same time internally he was puffed up and very demoniac. And Prabhupada is saying that even ordinary devotee can go and challenge such big scientists. How? But a devotee can challenge them because the best of everything is known to a devotee by the grace of Krishna. This line is really nice. The best of everything. Because Prahlāda Maharaj is asking this question, Hiraṇyakāśipu is asking this question to Prahlāda, what is the best subject that you have learned in school? And Prabhupada is saying that the best of everything is known to a devotee. How? By the grace of Krishna. And here comes Prahlada's response in the 5th verse. It's one of the oft-quoted verses from Srila Prabhupada, and therefore it is important for us to learn this particular verse. Tat sadhu manye asura varya dehinam sada samudvigna dhyam asad grahat hitva atmapatam grihamandhakupam vanam gato yad harim ashreta. So let's first understand from the Sanskrit how Prahlāda is responding. Tat sadhu manye means I consider this to be the best. Sadhu generally can be understood to be what is the best. So tat sadhu manye. So he's directly responding. This is what I consider to be the best. But then he's referring to his father as Asurvarya. Asurvarya means one who is the best of the asuras. And then he says, Dehinam means for the persons who have accepted this material body. It's just similar to Bhagavad Gita verse, Dehinam, that is used in the 13th verse of the 2nd chapter, right? Like there is the soul which is dwelling inside the body, which is going through the experiences of the changes within the body. So for all those who have accepted this body under this material condition, they are going through certain experience. What is that experience? That experience is Sada Samudvigna Dhyam. Sada Samudvigna. So notice that Samudvigna, this is also like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Dukheshu Udvigna Mana. Right? Sukheshu Vigata Spriha. Anudvigna Mana. Sukheshu Vigata Spriya. So similarly, the same word is used. Samudvigna. Udvigna means to be disturbed. Samudvigna means one is disturbed by all kinds of anxiety, all possible anxieties. And how much that is happening? All the time. Sada samudvigna dhyam. So in this way, one's focus, attention, intelligence is just absorbed in sorting through varieties of conditions of material miseries all the time. And why is this happening? Asad grahat. That's because one has accepted one's position in this body. This body is what one is identifying with. Asad grahat means literally one is misidentifying with the covering of this body. So while we are dwelling inside the body, we are considering that to be our real existential reality or real existential identity. We think that we are this body. And Prahlāda Maharaj is saying that that is the root cause of all your misery. And therefore he is giving some guidance to his father that Hitva Atmapatam Griham Andhakupam. In this way you are fallen into this dark well of Griha. Griha here is signifying a Griha Medhi life where one is just absorbed in the complexities of household affairs. And we are going to see this distinction come later on also in Prahlāda Maharaj's prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, when he again uses the term grihastha versus griha medhi lifestyle. So grihastha is one who is situated in the house, but the focus goes to self-realization. Griha medhi lifestyle is one is situated in the household and the focus remains in the household life, and it doesn't go anything beyond it. So here Prahlāda is comparing that Griha Medhi lifestyle to having fallen into a dark, blind well, Andhakupam. So he's basically telling Hiraṇyakaśipu, I'm sorry you have fallen into a dark well of your Griha Medhi lifestyle. And therefore he's saying, Hitva Atmapatam. Give this up, which is essentially stopping all your spiritual progress. Atmapatam is that is the cause for your downfall of the soul proper. And he's saying, Hitva, give that up. Give up this bodily conception of life in which you have drowned yourself and because of which you are experiencing miseries. So Prahlāda Maharaj has converted that question of what is the best subject you have learned in school into giving advice to his own father, the demoniac father, that you should do this is what I have learned, the best thing in school. And he's saying that after giving up, what should you do? Vanam gato yad. You go to the forest and Harim Ashreta. Take shelter of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So such a beautiful way Prahlāda Maharaj summarizes the best thing that he has learned, not necessarily in the school that Hiraṇyakaśipu had sent him to, but in the school of his real spiritual master Narad Muni, which we will come to know later on, how Narad Muni happens to be Prahlāda Maharaj's spiritual master. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that that one who has unflinching devotional faith in Krishna consistently manifests all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods. However, he who has no devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no good qualifications because he is engaged by mental concoction in material existence, which is the external feature of the Lord. So, we can see how the so-called educated philosophers and scientists who are simply operating on the mental platform, they are unable. So this is the second part of the verse that is quoted, that's Mano Rathena Asati Dhavato Bahi. And therefore Harau Abhaktasya Kuto Mahad Guna. So because they are hovering on the mental platform, they cannot distinguish between what is actually Sat, eternal, and what is Asat or temporary. And this is the same sort of point that Prahlāda Maharaj is saying, that Asat Grahat, the root cause of all the problems in material life is this Asat Grahat, that you have accepted this Asat, this covering of the material body as your identity. That has become your defining identity as you are living in this world. And therefore all you care about is whatever is a product of that body. So the Vedic injunction is Asato ma Jyotirgamaya. Everyone should give up the platform of temporary existence and approach the eternal platform. The soul is eternal, and the topics concerning the eternal soul are actually knowledge. The topics concerning the eternal soul are actually knowledge. Elsewhere it is said, Apashyatam Atmatattvam Griheshu Griha Medhinam. Those who are attached to the bodily conception of life and who thus stick to life as a grihastha or householder on the platform of material sense enjoyment cannot see the welfare of the eternal soul. Prahlāda Maharaj confirmed this by saying that if one wants success in life, he should immediately understand from the right sources what his self-interest is and how he should mold his life in spiritual consciousness. So you can see how Prahlāda Maharaj is unsettling Hiraṇyakaśipu. He is sort of locked in his Grihamedhi lifestyle, and Prahlāda Maharaj is saying, leave that and become a Vanaprastha, literally. Vanam gato yad harim ashreta. Take to Vanaprastha. That's what Prahlāda Maharaj is effectively saying. So one should understand himself to be part and parcel of Krishna and thus completely take shelter of his lotus feet for guaranteed spiritual success. Everyone in the material world is in the bodily conception, struggling hard for existence, life after life. Prahlāda Maharaj therefore recommended that to stop this material condition of repeated birth and death, one should go to the forest or vana. And Prabhupada points out in his translation to this verse that vana, Prahlāda Maharaj literally means Vrindavan. Literally, he wants Hiraṇyakashipu to go to Vrindavan, where only Krishna consciousness is prevalent, and should thus take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prahlāda Maharaj here is advising Hiraṇyakashipu to accept Vanaprastha life, because as a Grihastha, he was becoming increasingly demoniac due to bodily attachment. Prahlāda recommended to his father that accepting Vanaprastha life would be better than going deeper and deeper into Griham Andhakupam, the blind well of life as a Grihastha. And Prabhupada writes finally that in our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore invite all the elderly persons of the world to come to Vrindavan and stay there in retired life, making an advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So this is the first encounter of Prahlāda Maharaj with Hiraṇyakashipu, and we can see how Prahlāda was so direct, without any sugarcoating, is responding to his demoniac father. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives his comments on the 7.5.5 that how Prahlāda Maharaj understood his father's question and considered it to be, among all the things learned in the world, which do you think is the best? This is how Prahlāda had interpreted his father's question. When father is asking a very simple, innocent question like, what is the best subject matter that you have? What is the best of all the subjects that you have learned in the school of Shanda and Amarka? But the way Prahlāda understood is, among all things learned in the world, which do you consider is the best? And then he gives his opinion like this, that since you asked me, please hear the correct answer. O best of the demons, I think it is best that those whose minds are disturbed by false absorption in me and mine should give up their homes, for that attachment causes self-degradation. This is Atmapatam. Atmapatam is translated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as self-degradation, the fall down of the soul proper. Instead, they should go to the forest and there take shelter of the Lord. Even while still at home, one should give up material attachment. If one doesn't do this, he will take these attachments with him into the forest and find himself still taking shelter of household life. This is how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur renders it. So now, Prahlada's words did not meet Hiraṇyakashipu in good spirits. It entered Hiranyakashipu's ears and went straight to his heart. Even though he could understand that Prahlāda Maharaj was talking about faithful service to his enemy, which is Vishnu or Hari, he considered at this point his son as a whimsical child with some superficial thoughts, and therefore he took it somewhat lightly, and he laughingly replied that thus is the intelligence of children spoiled by the words of the enemy. So Prabhupada writes in the text number 6, Hiranyakashipu, being a demon, would always consider Lord Vishnu and his devotees to be his enemies. Therefore, the word Parapaksha, on the side of the enemy, is used here. Hiranyakashipu never agreed with the words of Vishnu or Krishna. Rather, he was angered by the intelligence of a Vaishnava. Hiranyakashipu naturally became increasingly angry that his son Prahlāda was being influenced by the camp of the enemies. He therefore asked that saintly persons like Narada not be allowed within the residential quarters of his son, for otherwise Prahlāda would be further spoiled by Vaishnava instructions. And therefore, at this point, Hiranyakashipu turns to the teachers of Prahlāda Maharaj that his assistants should give all protection to Prahlāda Maharaj. And then he's saying that the Vaishnavas who may go there in disguise, and therefore his son Prahlāda Maharaj needs protection there. In 7th verse, that's what he points out. And Prabhupada writes in the purport number 7, the greater demons like Hiranyakashipu are always prepared to chastise the Vaishnavas, and they try to make arrangements so that Vaishnavas will not come to sell their books and preach Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is sharing his own experience here. Thus, what was done by Hiranyakashipu long ago is still being done. That is the way of materialistic life. Demons or materialists do not at all like the advancement of Krishna consciousness, and they try to hinder it in many ways. Yet, the preachers of Krishna consciousness must go forward in their Vaishnava dress or any other dress. This is interesting. You're getting some validation that if you're going to some program strategically in some other dress, it's totally fine. You don't have to become fanatical. For the purpose of preaching. Chanakya Pandit says that if an honest person deals with a great cheater, it is necessary for him to become a cheater also. Not for the purpose of cheating, but to make his preaching successful. And this is why one should have all kinds of strategies in place when one is trying to face the people of this material world, trying to propagate the message of Krishna consciousness. And finally, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives his commentary for 6th and 7th verse like this. When Hiranyakashipu noted that Prahlāda's words were completely dedicated to Vishnu, his enemy, he laughed, saying, this boy will accept whatever is taught to him. It's not his fault. This is how innocently Hiranyakashipu is taking at this point. Then thinking that the Vaishnavas had influenced Prahlāda at school, the king of the demons said, from today, Narada and other Vaishnavas should not enter the Gurukul. Okay, so this is the current mindset of Hiranyakashipu, and we will see what happens next. Thank you very much.